Welcome to part 5, the final part of how to assemble drip irrigation. Today we're going to assemble the soaker hose. Before getting started, be sure and watch part 1, how to get the water from your source to the polytubing. And you will need to add a 25 psi pressure regulator if you're using the soaker hose, as well as a filter. Soaker hoses can get clogged with mineral deposits and should not be used in areas with heavy minerals in the water. If you have hard water, be sure to include a calcium filter as well as a regular filter. This type of drip irrigation system is great for closely planted vegetables in the vegetable garden, as well as for landscaping where meandering or curved lines are needed. And you can feel good about helping the environment because it's made from recycled tires. Soaker hose can only be used on flat surfaces, and when designing your soaker hose irrigation system, do not make any lines longer than 250 feet. Also, the maximum soaker hose per faucet is 500 feet, no matter the number of lines or individual line length. From where we ended with the polytubing in the part 1 video, there are several ways to transition to soaker hose. If you'll be using only one long line of soaker hose, use a 1/2-inch barbed coupler soaker hose fitting to transition from polytubing to soaker hose. Or use a barbed T at the polytubing to form a circle. When installing soaker hose fittings, use metal hose clamps to secure the hoses and keep them from popping off later when they're under pressure. If you will be laying your soaker hose in multiple straight or curved lines, such as in a vegetable garden bed, extend your polytubing along one full edge of the garden. At the spots where you want to branch off a soaker hose, cut the polytubing and insert a soaker hose barbed T so that the opposite ends reconnect the cut polytubing and the side end is facing in the direction of your soaker hose. At the end of your soaker hose, install a soaker hose barbed end cap. If your soaker hose ever becomes clogged and you need to clean it at the end of the season, just open the end and flush it out. Soaker hose is great for meandering curves, but if you need a sharp angle, you'll need to cut the soaker hose and install an elbow. To use 1/4 inch soaker hose, follow the same principles as for the 1/2-inch soaker hose, but use 1/4 inch standard polytubing fittings punched into the side of the polytubing. This size soaker hose does not require clamps to hold it in place on the fittings. Since soaker hose weeps out 360 degrees around and the full length of the installation, you don't need to worry about what side to put it down on. Doesn't matter. Soaker hose can be buried under the soil, compost, or mulch for even better weed prevention and to deliver water directly to the roots. However, before burying it, check the fits and the water pressure and make sure the soaker hose weeps and doesn't spray. Soaker hose can withstand freezing temperatures, but you do want to empty it out when winterizing your garden. So, install some soaker hose and grow organic for life.